Hi, my name is Dr. Rayshawn Ray, aiming to speak truth to power, and this is my daily thought. I was reading a couple of stories, actually a couple of personal ones. One was from another professor at another university whose son is black and happens to be 6'4" and is a teenager, and was going to the store to get a soda at night, and on his way back, he was stopped by the police. He had on a hoodie, and the police asked him for his ID, asked him for his social security number, where he lived, where he was coming from, where he was going. And at the end of the day, just left. Didn't say they had a reason for stopping him. Now, for some people, you hear that and you think, oh, well, what's the big deal? Or he was 6'4", or he had on a hoodie. Well, this is the deal. What it comes down to is that he's a black body. If he was 5'4", he probably would have been stopped. If he didn't have on a hoodie, he probably would have been stopped. He could be 5'4" with a t-shirt and shorts on him in the middle of the summer and could have been stopped in the daytime. So, I mean, those dynamics don't play out at all. And then people will say, oh, well, what's the concern? They're just being safe and cautious. You have to have a reason to stop someone. You can't just stop someone without probable cause. And you can't ask them for their information. I mean, you're asking them for their social security number. You're running their information, essentially profiling this young man. And I shouldn't even say man, this boy. I mean, he's a teenager out at night. And the thing for the parent is that these sort of incidents trigger collective memories. Triggers collective memories of Trayvon Martin, who didn't make it home. Triggers collective memories of Jordan Davis, who was at a gas station with his friends after school and didn't make it home. Was killed by a person who was acting as a vigilante. I mean, these sort of things. When I think about this and how this plays out, I think about it from two perspectives: being a black man and then also being a father of black boys. As a black man, and I've said this before, I've been stopped over 30 times by the police. That's just basically in vehicles. That's not even considering just casually walking down the street or stopping a conversation. Hey, where are you going? Or, what's your name? Or, what are you doing in this neighborhood? Things that never pop up on police reports. And I'm curious if this particular incident popped up on a police report. And I shouldn't have to say this, but obviously I have a PhD, and then on the other end of the spectrum, I don't have a criminal record. Those things shouldn't matter. Just like the boy being 6'4", having on a hoodie, or it being at night, none of those things should matter. These things are noise that try to cloud the real reason as to the reasons how black bodies get policed and profiled in society and the way that collective memories play out. As a father, I mean, I struggle with this quite a bit, because you want to give your kids agency, but at the end of the day, you want them to come home safely. And that's the number one goal. And so people ask me, okay, what should I do about these incidents? Well, first, I think you have to try to get home, or tell your loved one they have to get home safely. That's the first thing. Now, there are times a person could, quote unquote, do everything right, because this is the thing. In black households, people have these conversations all the time. So I know among some of my white friends and colleagues, they're having conversations about oftentimes how beneficial their interactions are with the police. Or like in this study that Dr. Chris Marsh and I have with 81 residents in Prince George's County, whites oftentimes talk about interacting with the police when they're in need. So the police officers are coming to them in aid as heroes. So for African Americans and blacks, on the other hand, when they're interacting with the police are coming to them in a way that the citizens feel as though that they're profiling them. They're coming up to them for no reason, asking them for information without probable cause. And this is the thing that's interesting. Black people are literally the most compliant people I've seen interact with the police. And people find that to be shocking. And this is why. Because people are taught in their households the ways to interact with the police. I mean, the ways to have your hands on 10 and 2 when you get in the car. The ways to turn the lights on, to roll the windows down, to let the officers know, okay, what you're doing and why you're doing it. And sometimes those things still don't work. And so, I mean, when I think about the incident of Scott in North Carolina, where he had a gun on his ankle, and he ended up being shot and killed by the police because he was walking backwards. The police told him to stop. He didn't stop. He was walking backwards real slowly, and they shot him and killed him. And the DA was saying, oh, well, you know, they saw him rolling a blunt. They were doing surveillance. They saw him rolling a blunt. They let it go. But then they saw a bulge around his ankle, thought it was best to go and see what was going on there. At that point, I don't guess there's really nothing wrong. But this is the problem. In North Carolina is an open carry state. So him having a gun on his ankle is actually less illegal than the blunt of marijuana. So in other words, if you let him go for having a blunt and the gun on his ankle is okay to be showing because it's an open carry state, then I'm confused about what's happened. And then I'm also confused at the point in which he was killed if the gun was never pulled out and he never reached for it. These are the kind of things where when killings become justified, because he would fit the stat of, did he have a weapon? Yes. Would he fit the stat of, was he fighting back or resisting at the time? No, he wasn't doing that. So when police officers fill out their reports, he would fit into that category. He wasn't fighting back. He wasn't being aggressive. Was he being non-compliant? Sure. Does non-compliance mean death? It shouldn't. To some people it does. And so as a father, I struggle with, what do I tell my boys? And I'm still struggling with it on a regular basis. But what I do know is praying and hoping that they come home safely is oftentimes something, and unfortunately being afraid of the people who are sworn to protect us is something that is acutely related to the Black and brown experience. And that becomes very difficult for people to relate to. Very, very difficult for people to relate to. And so what can some agency be done about this? Well, this is the thing. One thing that can be done is there should be a police report of your incident. You should go to the police station. Take some agency to go in there. I've done this. Go into the police station. Say, I was stopped at this particular time, at this particular location. I need to see the report. I need to know who the officers were involved, and I have a formal complaint to file. And that is something that you can actually do to put them on watch that I was actually stopped unlawfully, and I was not satisfied with how I was treated, and I shouldn't be treated in that particular way. And I mean, those sort of things start to take precedence. It's actually something that in-house, that police officers, they have reviews. These are things that they are going to be held accountable for, even if the general public doesn't necessarily see it all the time. And so, I mean, these are things that we can actually do to gain back some of our own agency. So, I mean, as always, conversations matter like Black Lives in Books. You know, these are ongoing conversations in Black households about how to make sure our smart and courteous and curious boys can make it home safely.